Okay, so I'm going to try this. Many of my students and friends keep telling me that I should be posting things on YouTube. I really don't know how to do it, but I'm going to try and learn. So, one of the first things I'm going to do is try and answer a question that I get in every one of my classes. Well, one of the questions, one of the most popular questions. What set of tools should I buy to start carving? And my answer is you shouldn't buy a set. Now, it's very, very difficult to choose the tools for each individual. The tools that you purchase should be a match to the kind of work that you're going to do. And your work will probably grow and change. But initially, buying a set I found is a mistake. Most of my carving I learned by doing and trying. And I did the same thing. I bought a set of tools to get started. And they weren't inexpensive, they were fairly expensive. I bought a pretty good set of tools. But there are at least 3 of those tools in that set that I probably haven't touched more than 1 or 2 times in many, many years. So, I'm going to make some suggestions for starting tools. Hopefully it will help you, but a set like this, someone gave me these. I don't know who. Someone, some generous person. It was probably in their father's or grandfather's basement. And Buck Brothers is a good name in tools, but this straight tool I'll probably never use, and I would have to reshape it if I were to use it. I don't like the round for a lot of reasons. The angle that you would have to use to cut. Here's a V tool that I'm guessing someone tried to sharpen because it's really bitched up. A V tool can be a very difficult tool to sharpen. If these videos do seem to take off and people enjoy them, and hopefully if you do enjoy it, you'll let me know. I might upgrade the camera and do some other things and hopefully get better at these videos, and I'll do more things. Right now I'm just shooting with my phone. Here's something of a spoon gouge, I guess, to reach in. I probably would never use that tool. It might come in handy sometimes, but not on a regular basis. Here's a skew, also has that rounded bevel that I would have to reshape if I was going to use it. And here probably is finally the one tool that I would use out of this set. It's a gouge. It looks to be about a number 7 perhaps, and I'll talk about those sizes a little later on. And here's another one. It looks like it was someone tried to sharpen it and did it poorly, but a number 11, a veiner tool, that I would use. So out of a tool of 2, 4, 6 tools, I found 2 that I would probably use. And that's what I found early on in my carving career. The set that I bought initially, some of those tools are pristine and really never used. I think one of the first decisions you need to make, are you going to do small work by hand, or are you going to do large work where you use a mallet? If you're doing small work by hand, palm tools like this, I really enjoy them. I do both large and small work. So I have a set, I have some of each. I don't have a set. I have what I bought over the years. As I took on a new project and saw that I needed another tool to match a shape, I would buy that individual tool. Or maybe I have it in that suite, but I needed it wider or a little skinnier, and then I would buy that tool. So I saw people already with tools like this, both larger and in palm tools, using a mallet. And the reason you don't use a mallet on tools like this is because, just like this rasp, it has a tang on the end, and the tang fits into the handle. Well, you can see that the tang is a wedge. So as you drive on this with a mallet, it drives the handle down further and further and further on that tang, splitting it. And I've seen a lot of broken tools that are fitted up like a tang like this. If you're going to do mallet work, you would probably want something like a socket gouge. Here, the handle's tapered and fits into a tapered socket. So when you hit it with a mallet, it doesn't split. It actually gets tighter and tighter and tighter. Now, can you split it? Well, certainly if you beat too hard, but if you're going to do a lot of mallet work, a lot of larger work, you want something with a socket. You don't want a tool with a tang. Next, you need to decide the basic shape, and I'll talk about some of the basic shapes. As we go on and through years, it seems like there's more and more shapes and more styles coming on the market. But some basic shapes are really all you need. To be honest with you, when I first started to carve, I used a Stanley No. 9 utility knife and my woodworking chisels. And I did a lot of really neat projects. My work wasn't so refined or good, but I enjoyed what I did, and I got better with it as years went on and I gained experience. The first tool is going to be like a No. 1. A No. 1 is just a straight across tool. It might be beveled on both sides, but it's flat. There's no curve, there's no sweep. In this case, you might call this a bench or a firmer chisel, but the sweep would be No. 1. It would be straight across. This would be considered a No. 1 chisel, a gouge. It's beveled on both sides, but it also comes to a point. So this would be a skew. I do find these are handy sometimes to reach into corners for making stop cuts and sometimes just shaving. This would not be one of the first tools I purchased though, but it is handy. Then there are tools like this. This one we would call a spoon gouge. It kind of looks like a spoon. It gets down in deep when you need to relieve something and it's a really sharp arc. This is not another tool that I wouldn't purchase initially. I almost never use it. This is the reverse of that. This is a back bent gouge. And you go over the top. So, just so you know a couple of the different types. This is just a bent gouge, and these are handy. Would not be a first purchase once again, but they are handy. Then there's your regular gouges. This is primarily what I use for most of my work, in different sweeps, of course. And a tool that I've come to like more and more as I carve are these fishtail gouges. They come in all different sweeps as well, and different widths, but I like the fact that I can get into corners better because the cutting edge is wider than the rest of the tool. So that's a really nice tool to use. And I would recommend possibly buying some fishtail gouges when you start. You heard me mention sweep, and I downloaded this chart from the computer. You might be able to see it on the computer better. I'm sure there's a ton of charts. But what the sweep means is this arc of the tool. The higher the number, the steeper the arc. Just like I said, a No. 1 is flat across. A No. 2 has a little bit of an arch. A No. 3 a little more, and I do use some No. 3s. A No. 4 a little more. This is a No. 5. And a No. 5 gouge I use a lot. I would recommend buying a No. 5 gouge in about a 10 millimeter wide. A No. 7 is a little steeper. And I do use a No. 7 a lot. Again, about 10 millimeters, 8 to 12 millimeters to start. A No. 9 is almost a circle if you go around. And I use a number 9 gouge a lot. So when you begin, I would recommend probably primarily a number 5, a number 7, a number 9. Then 2 more that I use a lot for stop cuts and detail are a number 11. I really don't have a number 11 in very wide versions. This one is about 2 millimeters. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is about 4 millimeters. And I use this 4 millimeter a lot for stop cuts and detail work. The other one are V gouges, number 12s. They come in different angles. It could be 45, it could be 30, and there are a lot of different, like I said, as time goes on, it seems like they're changing more and more and getting more and more versions of it. This one is about 5 millimeters wide, and I use that a lot for stop cuts, but I also use it when I have to cut in corners, and will sometimes use a flat edge to cut flat along a line. So those are the basic tools that I use a lot. I would not recommend getting a set. Understand, when you buy a set of tools, it depends where you get them from. They may not come as sharpened units. You might have to reshape and resharpen the tool to get working with it. And that's another important lesson to learn: sharpen. I dulled a lot of tools as I first learned to sharpen until I finally got a system down that I liked. And that might, if this video seems to work out and people enjoy it, I might do a little lesson on sharpening. I might try and show you some. A lot of my students are just getting started, and I hate to have them make a huge investment first thing. So I have a lot of little tricks that I could show that are inexpensive ways to sharpen that I learned over the years, because sharpening tools can also be very expensive. And I guess now that we're talking about cost, how much are you going to buy? How much are you going to spend per tool? Well, these tools that I really like, and they do come sharpened, range right around $25 a piece, up and up. You can get other tools probably in the $15 a piece range. But one of the things you want to pay attention to also is quality. Are they ground even? Do they feel good in the hand? What level are they polished to? So it's important to learn. Something else I didn't mention, most of the tools are marked. This is a number 5 sweep, in other words the curve, and it's 16 millimeters wide. They don't all have that, but most have some designation. Number 9, 25 millimeters wide. These don't have the width, but they do show number 5, so that you know what you're getting. Hopefully that answers some of your questions about beginning tools. You don't need to get into it in huge dollar amounts to get started carving. Like I said, my first carvings were just with a Stanley woodworking chisel and a Stanley number 99 utility knife that I replaced the blades in. And I did a lot of carving. And as I went along, I bought a set, which was a mistake, big mistake. Actually, I probably bought a couple sets. And there are tools in every one of those sets that I never use. I should probably put them on eBay, or maybe even offer them to students that they could have them. And I think, now that I'm saying that, I think I'm going to do that. Anyway, number 5, number 7, number 9, number 11 and 12 in the 8 to 12 millimeter range. The number 11, 2, 3, 4 millimeter, those are all good. And that's going to get you a lot of carving, and probably get you carving for under $100. We could also talk about knife carving or whittling. Some people don't like to call it carving. They say if you're using a knife, it's whittling, it's not carving. I don't really care. It's all removing wood, and I enjoy doing it all. But I can get you carving and doing a lot of neat things with just 1 or 2 knives as well. And there you can get into that for under $30, probably under $25. But that would be another video. Anyway, if you like this video, found it helpful, please let me know. If you have any tips or suggestions for me to continue these tapes and videos, I really need to know that too. And thanks for listening. I hope I helped a little.